downtown Providence, Rhode Island, on a typical afternoon in 1925. Rhode Island's population back then was about 500,000 people. Half of them lived in Providence. Sports enthusiasts spent their leisure time rooting for the minor league Providence Grays or local college teams. Some followed the Boston Red Sox, who were in the midst of a down decade after winning their 5th World Series in 1918. Back in Rhode Island, the first boys' high school ice hockey league was formed, and Judge James E. Dooley of Pawtucket was just months away from closing a deal that would bring professional hockey to Providence. Dooley bought a franchise in the inaugural 5-team Canadian-American Hockey League in 1926. They would be popularly called the Rhode Island Reds by the locals and Providence Reds by outsiders, and for the next 46 years play in a new 5,500-seat building at 1111 North Main Street, the Rhode Island Auditorium.
They started in 1927, and for countless years, this was the show for this state. You know, on game night, you'd see people walking down North Main Street from Pawtucket in blizzards.
It was the beginning of a Rhode Island hockey love affair that would last for more than 50 years.
The people in Rhode Island didn't go up to see the Bruins. They had the Reds.
It was one of the things that they could hang on to year after year. I mean, the Pawtucket baseball teams had come and gone, the Slaters and some other teams had come and gone, the football team had gone. But this was something that belonged to Providence, and they were known as the Rhode Island Reds.
The Rhode Island Reds started out as a farm team of the Montreal Canadiens. The Reds finished last in their debut season, but their fortunes would soon change. 4 years later, led by a shifty little forward named Johnny Gagnon, the 2930 Club would win their first of 3 Fontaine Cup playoff championships in 5 years. Little did loyal fans know that some of the players they were watching would become future NHL Hall of Famers, like 18-year-old Milt Schmidt. Schmidt played just 23 games in Providence before a legendary career in Boston, but the fond memories remain.
Was called up to the Bruins, and I played about 2 or 3 games for them. Then they sent me back here to Providence. It was exciting to be on the same ice surface as some of those fellas that played in the National Hockey League, like Gene Pusey, who was quite a character.
1936 was also the year that Providence helped form what would become the American Hockey League. The Reds' popularity soared when new coach Fred "Bun" Cook led the club to 2 more championships, capturing Calder Cups in 1938 and 40. A former Central Falls school teacher and later the auditorium's building manager named Lou Peary bought the team in 38.
He was a good salesman, for one thing, and he sold Providence hockey because he was enthused about it. He thought it was the greatest thing in the world.
And the locals agreed. Dedicated fans came from throughout the state to support their team on North Main Street, no matter what the conditions.
We'd go there on blizzards. We'd have 4 or 5 guys in the car, and we'd have to push the car up the hill. The driver, the 4 guys pushing the car up the hill to get to the game. One time, I believe it was Cleveland. The other team didn't show up till 10:30, 11 o'clock. Half the people were still there watching the game, and by the time the game ended, those same people were there. I wouldn't say it was a full house, but half of them stayed.
People just used to pack that auditorium. It was just unbelievable. I mean, they were the heart and soul of Providence in those days. What else was there?
But for local hockey fans, the Rhode Island Auditorium was their sports mecca. Sunday night games were a happening, just about all of them sellouts, and it would stay that way for 40 years.
It was fun. It was wonderful going to the old arena. I mean, we got dressed up and we met a lot of people and we socialized.
Sunday night, it was jam-packed to the rafters, sitting in the aisles. It was no heat in the place, the chicken wire, the smoke, smoking in the building at the time. It was just it was something out of, if you saw the movie Slapshot, it was something out of that venue, you know.
As a youngster, it was something that was treasured, and it was an experience that I couldn't wait to get in the building.
And if you wanted to make a bet on the game, well, that was easy.
Before the game began, the gambling fraternity would gather in the main lobby, and almost every home game, a representative of that group would come to my office and say, "Mr. Duffy, "Who's hurt tonight?" And I'd tell them who's hurt, and they'd leave.
And you'd walk into the rink at night before the game, like 6 o'clock or whatever, and these guys are all down there, right? Who got hurt last night? Who's not playing tonight? Because they always wanted the edge for the bookies, eh?
I think they almost wagered almost every shot, almost every check, who's going to score the goals. There was always something on it. There was always a lot of action going on.
The Reds won 4 Calder Cups from 1938 to 56, led by some of the best to ever play the game, like top scorers Chuck Scherzer, Carl Liscombe, Camille Henry, and Zelio Topazzini. Topazzini, or Topper as he became known, was an unstoppable right winger who became the team's all-time points leader and arguably the greatest Reds player ever.
Look at all the points he got, the goals he got. He won all the awards that you could possibly win here.
I couldn't stop him in practice. I mean, he used to laugh at me, He'd come down and he'd do his dipsy doodle and the way he'd go and put it in the net. He was a good hockey player. But he was a better person, really.
And then there were the great goaltenders: Bennett, Bauer, Brimsek, Mayer, and Jacquemin.
We were getting some of the best non-NHL players to play in Providence, either on the visiting teams or for us. I mean, it was just a great show. A lot of those guys, it's too bad they couldn't have benefited from an expansion, but there were only 6 NHL teams in those days.
I enjoyed my first year. I played with some great guys. I played with Pierre Briant and Jimmy Bartlett, were 2 good hockey players, and we were called the B-line.
The fans knew they were seeing good hockey and some great players. The Reds were Rhode Island's hockey heroes.
These people just love the Reds, and they idolized the players, and it was just it was such a close-knit unit. Fans, players.
They had me over for dinner and meet their family, and I remember I went to one Italian family's home, and we had something to eat and a glass of wine, and I said, man, that was great. The lady said, that's only the first course. It was like 8 or 9 courses, Of course, we were young and in good shape. We could eat and eat and eat and eat,
We were heroes, really. We got off the ice. They were lined up a mile long, waiting, to, touch you or pat you on the back.
They were treated like royalty, really.
And the players loved them back with a deep appreciation for their passion, hospitality, and loyalty that still stands today.
Winning the Calder Cup was a big thing to them, because Lou Perry, I admired him as the owner, and he was so good to us guys. And the hospitality and the fans that we had here in Providence just were with us all the time.
A lot of different city. Rhode Island is special because people warm. They accept people, I never knew anybody, to me, no, they were really good to me.
The last time I played for the Reds is 38 years ago. And still some people go, Bobby LeDuc, I used to see you play. It's just, it's mind-boggling how some people just remember.
So it should be no surprise that this Rhode Island hockey love affair continues today. The Reds played their last game in a mostly empty Providence Civic Center 31 years ago. Yet thousands still speak fondly of their days rooting for the Reds. Nearly 700 belong to the Rhode Island Reds Heritage Society. And every summer, hundreds reunite with their childhood idols for a weekend filled with rekindling old relationships, reminiscing, and lots of laughter. Hockey fans loved the song Clear the Track, Here Comes Shaq, as in the colorful Eddie Shack, who played a half season in Providence.
All of a sudden now, Gordy and I are drinking, and he sings his song, Who's the Greatest of Them All? Gordie Howe. And I sang mine, Clear the Track. Here comes Shaq. He knocks him down, and he gives him a whack. And they said, that's what I want to talk to you about. You don't hit me, and I won't hit you. So we shook on it.
So many memorable moments. The marvelous players, the championship seasons, the smoky arena, and all the colorful characters.
There was something, an aura in that building that really permeated through the excitement for the fans.
Topazzini shoots, he scores!
Have your ticket ready, please. The fur should fly when the Barons and Providence Reds tangle. The referee drops the puck, and the game is on.
One day they threw a rooster at the blue line. From my net, I went to the blue line. I had to put my skate right through it, and somebody had the rope, and he pulled it out. Should have heard the crowd. Unbelievable.
You can keep the sports parade moving by being a good sport. Good night, everybody.